everyone. To our viewers, a good morning. Still celebrating the 16 days of activism, or of activism to promote equality, gender equality, to fight against all forms of discrimination that are always against women and even the men. That's why we are always into the activism part to promote the gender equality. Today we are celebrating the World AIDS Day, and we are live at Mbarara University of Science and Technology. This is Empowering Youth in Technology, Ayeti TV. We are live on Ayeti Radio, Facebook, and also YouTube. On all our platforms, you can find us there so that we can be able to celebrate together today's event. The World AIDS Day is a global celebration. It's a global day. It's celebrated annually every 1st of December in recognition of our fellows who are HIV positive, in recognition of the pandemic, the AIDS pandemic that was caused by HIV. So we recognize the different people in our country, in our continent, in the world that are affected by HIV. And also we are trying to create awareness on how we can be able to advocate for change, on how we can advocate for good health out there, because our lives, my life and your life matters, and it is a priority. When we are celebrating the World AIDS Day, we are creating awareness about HIV, and we are providing solutions. So someone out there watching, please follow up to the end. It is me, it is you. And as we said yesterday when we were celebrating still the 16 days of activism, that it is something that starts with you and also something that starts with me. So we are together in this. Let us join hands and end this pandemic. It is a pandemic that has run for years. But every 1st December, we would like to be putting it to light so that you can know that these people, yes, exist and they are living and they contribute a lot to the economic development of our country. They have to be recognized, they should be respected, and they should be given their rights. And all in all, let us learn that there are very many measures that we can take, strategies that we can take in order to stay free from HIV. I am Bridget Cementa, and now we are going to go live. We shall be hosting very big experts, people from the Department of HIV at Mbarara University of Science and Technology, the Department of HIV and AIDS, Institutional Policy. Those are the people that we are hosting today. And allow me now to welcome them in.
You're watching Ayet TV, empowering you. You're watching Ayet TV, empowering you.
Good morning, fellows. This is a very good morning to all of us, and I hope everyone is feeling good. My name is Maureen Atile. I'm a peer educator. I'm the administrative secretary of Master Project. I'm glad to be the moderator of this session. Today, we all know it is International World AIDS Day, and we celebrate it to celebrate those people who are sick and those who died because of HIV. We remember them. And for this session, I'm going to ask my fellow panelists to introduce themselves to all of us and then give a brief introduction. Thank you. We are going to start with our technical person, who is the invited guest in the room. Mr. Rogers.
Hello, viewers. It's nice being here today. And this is Dr. Rogers, Tuliam Sima, a senior peer educator. And I'm a medical doctor. I'm working with Maristops Uganda. And as well, the executive director for Collective Action for Community Development nice being here with you today. Thank you.
So, good morning, everyone, viewers out there, watching AUTV, listening in on Youth Radio and all other platforms. And we have also some peer educators in the audience. Good morning to you all. I'm Gladys Nakalema. I am an administrator in the Dean of Students office. I'm also the HIV focal person within the institution. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, madam. And to our peer educator, who is also a medical student.
Hello viewers, I'm Kelvin Tinker, a fifth-year medical student. I'm a senior peer educator. I'm happy to be with you here as we celebrate the World AIDS Day, 1st December every year. Today we shall expound more on the day as we try to educate the community and celebrate those who have died and those who are being affected by AIDS pandemic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Kelvin. So to all our viewers out there and the ones in the audience, I would like our fellow panelists to tell us like why are we celebrating this World AIDS Day and what it is all about. Thank you. Starting with you as we go on.
Hey, I welcome you again. So today we come together to celebrate the World AIDS Day. It's a very important day to us, especially me as a peer educator. It's a very important day to me because this day, at least I get to measure how far my efforts have reached. As peer educators, we base on the HIV institutional policy that's under Mbarara University of Science and Technology. We try to teach on eradication and preventive strategies on HIV. We fight stigma among those who have contracted the disease and those who are willing to get the services as well. So on this day, it's a very good delight to celebrate it because it's a good measure of how far we have reached and how far we are to go on fighting and eradicating the HIV disease. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, modulator. So once again, I want to thank you for listening in. And so today is World AIDS Day and is celebrated every 1st of December. It was first conceived 1987 and first celebrated 1988. And this was put together in a way that people could unite and show their support to people living with HIV, people who have been directly or indirectly affected by HIV/AIDS. And so this day is to show our solidarity to people that they are part of us, and instead we shouldn't discriminate them. So it's a day to remind us our role as people, as specifically as health workers, to show our support to them amidst the challenges they may be going through. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers.
Yeah, thanks, Maureen. Trying to think back in the times when HIV infection and challenges were at their peak, this day brings a bittersweet moment. In commemoration of World AIDS Day, while everybody talks about celebration, why do I call it bittersweet? As an institution, we have gone through several, just like the country and worldwide, we've gone through the highs and lows of managing or mitigating HIV. In the early 90s, when Mbarara University was still young, we were more or less concerned about the welfare of staff members. And from our archives, most of the details show that there were concerns where we had staff members having to take leave, and then there was emotional distress resulting from those who had either were HIV positive or those who were living with persons living with HIV positive. So they were affected in one way or another. And today, to see that as an institution, we have been able to support the students and staff members to be able to continue with their work and academics in a way that improves the outlook towards HIV/AIDS, looking at HIV/AIDS as not as death sentence, unlike in the early 90s where it was one of those things that if you found somebody or if you know somebody living with HIV, it was hush, hush, and run away. Now, yes, we still have the hush because of the stigma, hence the campaign of End Stigma, but we have less people running away from persons living with HIV/AIDS. So for me, this is a bittersweet moment. We have had our successes in mitigating HIV, and that's why we celebrate. However, the parts that are making us feel like we need to do more or we miss our loved ones is where we bring in the concept of commemoration. So commemoration is not only celebrating, but it is honoring and remembering the loved ones that we lost or those who are having challenges in the fight against HIV/AIDS. So it is really one of the days that I highlight for me in my area as a person who is in charge of HIV/AIDS activities and closely working with young people. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Madam Gladys. On that note, before we go for a short break, I wanted us to expound more on what it is HIV, what is AIDS. Like most people think it is just HIV/AIDS. They don't know the difference or the common, how it is brought up. So I would like Dr. Rogers to tell more about that. Maybe we could contribute more on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, the modulator. HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus, and AIDS is Acquired Immunodeficiency Virus. So HIV is a virus, and AIDS is a disease. It's Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. So AIDS is a syndrome that comes as a result of being infected with HIV and associated symptoms. So it's like a worst case scenario of getting infected with HIV. So it's not that everyone with HIV has AIDS. Someone can live with HIV but without AIDS. But someone can develop AIDS as a worst case scenario. AIDS, like we all know, HIV is how it is acquired, how it is transmitted. Now, the main ways is sexually transmitted HIV. Other ways is through pregnancy, breastfeeding, and other means. But specifically to young people, like our target audience today, it's sexually transmitted when you have unprotected sexual intercourse. And so when you acquire HIV, chances of you getting AIDS if you don't know your status are high. Chances of you getting AIDS if you're immune suppressed. Immune suppressed means when you have other illnesses like sexually transmitted illnesses such as syphilis and gonorrhea. So you are getting AIDS. Other people who are at risk of getting AIDS, the pregnant women, because they're also immune suppressed. We also have people living with cancers. We also have people living with diabetes, hypertension, and some of all those comorbidities. Yeah, but most importantly, if you get HIV and you get to know your status early and you start your medication in time, chances of getting AIDS are minimal. They are so much reduced. So that's why even the World Health Organization and the government are advocating for at least everyone should know their status. And that's why we are promoting this. You may not know anything, but at least know your HIV status. That will determine your tomorrow. Thank you so much, moderator.
You're welcome. I don't know if Kelvin, you have something to add on that before we go for a short break.
Thank you very much. So briefly about AIDS, I thank Dr. Chesima for talking much about it. In addition to that, HIV/AIDS is a disease that doesn't heal. When one gets it, they have to live it all their lifetime. However, this doesn't mean that people should lose hope once they get AIDS. Once someone has acquired AIDS, they can get very good treatment and they can live normally like others. So when one gets AIDS, instead of being stigmatized and feeling like it's the end of the world, it's good if we seek early enough medical treatment. Then life can be normally as other people, as others living without the disease. Then it's also likely enough that once someone has got AIDS, it is of good heart and we encourage that at least let them try to live as an example to those who don't have. In this, we shall try to mitigate the spread and control the infection. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. As we go for the break, please let us end stigmatization. Let us encourage one another to go test and know your status, because your life matters. And even if you're sick, you can still live many more years to come, because you'll be having very best medical care, just like what they have told you. So as we go for a short break, we are coming back. Please keep tuning in ATV. Thank you.
You're watching a Hit TV, empowering you. You're watching a Hit TV, empowering you. You're watching a Hit TV, empowering you.
Bananga bami n'abakyala naze kubanyonyola nti bw'oba ng'olina omukolo gwonna gw'olina oyagala kuyingira ennyumba, olina lonchi gy'okola, olina woteeri, olina embaga, olina ulumbe, olina buli kalonde yonna ng'oyagala bagutere ku Zoom, YouTube wamu ne ku Facebook. Njagala kugamba nti Hit TV be basobola okubeera nga bakikolerako bulungi nnyo, balina kamera ennungi nkambwe, balikirya nnyo, bamanyi kibakola, eby'Oluzungu, eby'Oluganda, eby'Olunyankole, buli kalonde yonna baguteerako buteezi. N'olwekyo mukwano gyaffe a
Hit TV, empowering you.
Welcome back from the short break, dear viewers, even the people in the audience. At this time, I would like our invited guest, our technical person in the room, to tell us about the current information about HIV, the prevalence, and all that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, the modulator. For the current information, according to the most recent information from the Ministry of Health, the document released was titled Final HIV Fact Sheet 2021. And it shows that the prevalence of HIV in Uganda is 5.4. The prevalence here, I mean people, the percentage of people living with HIV. And so in females, that's general, and in females it's 5.8%, and in males it's 3.9%. So, and that shows that females are, the prevalence is higher in females than males. And when you see these percentages, 37% of every new infections reported as of 2020, they were adolescents. They were youth, 15 to 24. And this is the group we are addressing. And that's why we are saying that the disease is existing and it's serious. So you see that the biggest percentage is amongst us, the 15 to 24 years. And according to these statistics, 730 new recorded HIV infections every week were reported. We are talking about 730 every week. And these were reported. These are people who came to access care. So that means there are those people who don't know care, who don't know their status, who don't know their statuses. So what we mean is, let's take care. The prevalence is high, especially in our population. And by district, the leading is Kalangara with 18%, and followed by Mbarara. Mbarara is our area we live in here. The percentage is, the prevalence is 7.9%. And in our area here, the areas with highest prevalence include Chizungu, Ruti, Chianja, Rubindi, Nyihanga. Those are the highest. Those are the places with highest prevalences. And so, currently, like I said, adolescents and the youth are the leading populations with high prevalences. Some of the factors reported: unemployment, high unemployment rates among these populations. So they trigger them, or they force them to go for risky sexual behaviors and unsafe sex choices. I don't know if you understand what I mean there, but risky sexual behaviors have been highly reported in this age group. And another factor is gender-based violence, as also we celebrate the 16 days of activism of gender-based violence. Also, this age group has been reported to high cases of gender-based violence, including sexual coercion. Sexual coercion, I mean being forced into an act without your consent. Maybe you're having an intercourse for marks, having an intercourse for money, having an intercourse for peer pressure. So that's what we mean by sexual coercion, and it's highest, especially in university students, in young people who are especially not employed. So that's the current statistics of HIV in Uganda and our area at large. Yeah. Thank you so much, moderator.
You're welcome. As we can see, in that age group that you was talking about, 15 to 24 years, most of us are in that group. Most students who join university, most of us are 18, 19, 20, and others make 24 when we're already at campus. And even leave alone us campusers, what about those people who are outside, the youth, who are already getting HIV on daily basis? So please let us protect ourselves and learn how to protect ourselves actually. As we continue, I would like Madam Gladys to tell us how, as students, how is the HIV policy guiding the students against HIV AIDS? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Dr. Rogers mentions some issues that one of them that has really taken me aback is the fact that the rate of new infections is high, but not only that, most of them are between the age of 15 and 24. And that is quite concerning because of it defeats, really it's going to take us back from where we're coming, going to take us back to where we're coming from. We, in the times when we are registering a low prevalence in terms of nationwide, if we are seeing increased infections among the youth, and those are the future, there's a possibility that we're going to go back to having more infections among the working population. Why am I saying that? In our line of work, or as we conduct HIV activities in our department, we do a lot of support towards students besides the usual talks. So we normally have students approach us in case they're having any challenges. And we've come to notice that some of these things are not directly straightforward HIV related, but when you look at the broader picture, the concerns that come to our office can predispose our students to getting HIV or any other sexual reproductive or other sexually transmitted diseases. So first of all, we have seen an increase in alcohol and drug abuse. This is worrisome because at the end of the day, the students put themselves at risk or are vulnerable to being exploited. First of all, how does a student afford drugs and beer or alcohol each day? Those are things we ask ourselves once we find out that there are students who are maybe addicted or abusing drugs and alcohol. And the answers are simple, really. It is that they're going to either tag themselves to those who have more money or who can afford. And of course, there's always something for something. If I buy you alcohol, if I buy you drugs, chances are I'm going to need something in return. And so, and then you don't know whether in a state of drunkenness or in a state of heights, one will be able to protect themselves, you know? So that's one of the areas that we're concerned about. So the university is in the process of developing an alcohol and drug policy in addition to the HIV/AIDS policy. Why are we doing that? We're really working towards ending pandemics, as the theme calls it, because once you address these other areas, then you're able to have other benefits or spin-offs, such as reducing infections, reducing emotional distress among students. The other thing that we have also noticed as a trend that we try to address so that we reduce on the risk of getting infection, whether it's HIV and STIs, is we've noted there's a lot of sexual harassment going on, and mostly cyber harassment. So, and we are trying to address that to really discourage such behavior. Because you know what happens? I'm dating you. We are in a point where we are enjoying quality time together. Somebody has staged a camera. So then I am going to blackmail you into staying with me using the pictures that have been taken. Or else I'm going to embarrass you, amongst others, with the pictures. So we find that some of these challenges are going to tie people into positions of vulnerability, because then gender-based violence will come in, and then this person will have to seek refuge somewhere or will have to do something in return to make sure those videos or images do not come out. So we also have a sexual harassment policy to address all that. And in fact, the policy goes ahead to define that if a student has been maybe sexually assaulted, we have, they can call our office directly, and we are able to link them to care. That is, they'll get the pre-exposure prophylaxis, they will get any medication that they require to avoid any other infections, in addition to HIV, and we'll give them emotional support. So as management, we know that we're in an institution with the young, they are having, they're inquisitive, they are happy about life. We want to ensure that they continue to be excited about their academic journey and are healthy physically and socially. So as an institution, we put in place policies to address this in addition to the HIV/AIDS policy, because we know right now talking about HIV is like a boring song. But we know that when we talk about healthy relationships, when you talk about empowerment of young people, that is music to their ears, because young people always want to learn. They don't want to hear the same song over and over again. So in a bid to end HIV, we have broadened our minds and our outlook, you know, so that we are able to include not only those from the medical fraternity, because we are predominantly medical institution, but all individuals that are staying within the institution and are working within the institution. Yeah. So I think we'll talk more about it. So one of the biggest points as an institution that has really strengthened our efforts towards preventing HIV is we have strengthened the peer education services. We have a robust peer education team that is trained, and they are carrying out a lot of sensitization on HIV/AIDS. And I'll tell you one thing, as an institution, the peer educators have been the link between the students and the administration. We get distressed calls. We get students who are struggling with accessing care or even psychosocial support. So we feel that the peer education entity is one of those key areas that is helping us address HIV/AIDS and sexual reproductive health. And that is one of our prides as Mbarara University of Science and Technology. So thank you very much. I think that we are on the right path, but there's still more to do as an institution.
True. Thank you, Madam Gladys. As we are talking of how we acquire HIV/AIDS, and they've been telling us through sexual intercourse, sexual activities. Actually, let me call that sexual activities. So I'm looking at it as, for one to be safer, to be protected, you need the sexual reproductive health rights, which we call SRHR, right? So I would like Kelvin to help us to see how we can relate that to HIV/AIDS with sexual reproductive rights, health rights. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Kelvin, a peer educator. So after seeing that HIV/AIDS exists, and Miss Gladys has made it known that a university has come up with policies and has come up with strategies on how to reduce on the rate of infection among students and the people at the university. So we have policies that we came up with. There are policies which the university came up with to help in the control of the spread of the disease. Majorly, the policies that are being taken are being established and managed by majorly the must peer project and HIPROA. The HIPROA stands for HIV Institutional Policy. So these are the two bodies which the university put up to put a link, to put an interrelation between HIV/AIDS and the HIV rights policy. So what we do here is that everyone is obliged to different rights. Those that are infected and those that are not yet, they have different rights, and they have different obligations they're supposed to be taught or to get known to. So what we do is that we try to educate, we try to make known to those who don't know the different rights about HIV, we try to create mental transformation and mindset change about these rights. We inform them about the rights, and as we try to collaborate and interact with HIV, we try to embark majorly on preventive strategies for those who have not yet contracted a disease. For those who have contracted a disease, there is counseling and there's further advice on how to live with the disease and control it and the side effects and to live normally with others. In addition to that, they also it came as a strategy that since the university was not in very close relation with students, by this I mean it would take very hard time for a fellow university student to seek counseling or advice from a top university head. Sometimes it was stigma, sometimes emotional fear, depression, and others. So students find it easier to talk to their fellow peers. So that's why these policies came up. So through fellow peers, those are the fellow classmates, fellow age mates, fellow students at the university, we have been able to make these rights known to the students and to educate more about HIV and various added advantages in its control and in living with it knowingly, accepting it, and try to live a better life. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. As we know, sexual rights, sexual reproductive health rights, those are the rights that we have. I would like Dr. Rogers to enlighten us about our rights, our sexual rights, sexual health rights. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Modulator. Before I talk about the rights, Madam Gladys talked about the policies they are developing at the university, the drug and the alcohol and drug policy. That's a very key point to note, because it has been noted that there is an underlying factor to HIV incidences among young people, which is the mental health. And most programs, most strategies have not given it attention. And so if I hear that the university is already thinking about it, I really feel pleased. And I will only request that if these strategies are being developed, it should be person-centered, because these youth, they really want something that, as if it's addressing them only alone as a person. It's addressing other factors. It's a multi-sectoral approach, address their challenges. They should be personal-centered, and it should be right-based approach. Like it's putting into considerations their rights. And that's why I come back to SRH rights. So these SRH rights, sexual and productive health rights. Yeah, so they include someone has a right to information, access information. Someone should be updated of what is AIDS, what is HIV, what's AIDS, what's about their decision, what rights do they have about sexual and reproductive health. They should be informed so they can make responsible decisions about their sexual behaviors. Other rights, especially young girls of ours, in the youth, they should know that they have a right to any act, any sexual intercourse. They have a right to reject any action, whether they have any triggering factor or what. So they have a right to the intercourse. They have a right to have children. Youth have a right. They have a right to make decisions on their own about their sexual and productive health. So those are one of the rights of the SRH rights. Yeah. Thank you, moderator.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rogers. If you know you're sick, have what they call RCT. I learned it from Madame Gladys. That is routine counseling and testing, or routine testing and counseling, whichever way you call it. RCT or RTT. Hope we are following. And to our alumni out there for MPP and HIPROA, please spread the gospel. Don't spread the hate. Please spread love for those people who are sick, and protect those ones who are not yet sick. Like they said about those laws that are coming up, yes, of what is bringing students to get HIV. That's why MPP, we always organize movie nights on Fridays, so that students don't go out, drink, have intercourse, and then get HIV. That's why we always arrange for you people to have free things at the project. Not for free, but help protect you and help you stay safe and in there. So as we go for our second break, if there is anyone with a question in the audience, please arrange them. We'll pick on the 3 questions at the end of the next session. And then as we go there, there is a challenge that is coming up with the students. Leave alone the students, the youth outside there, because we know we are being watched by very many people outside in the community. As we are saying, the youth, those who have finished campus, those who are working, we know they are being affected by HIV, AIDS, through very many processes. So I would like us to review through that. How are they being affected? Yeah, as we go for the break. Thank you. Start with you, Kelvin. Then you proceed.
Thank you very much. So we're looking at how various students are affected. So I'm going to categorize the various problems into two. I'm going to base on those that are affected, that having the, let me say, those that are affected with the disease. Then I'm also going to look at those that try to spread information to those who are affected, which I think should be the first part. So for those who are trying to spread the information, those are the peer educators and the people who are trying to create a link between the university and the fellow students. So there are some challenges they're affecting, some challenges which are affecting them in regards to HIV prevention and control. So the first of all, it's a broad thing, stigma. So under this, those that are trying to pass on the information to other students, we call them the peer educators or the peer trainers. So the biggest thing they face is stigma. I try to bring up a case whereby me as a fellow peer educator, I go to a classroom and my lecturer or tutor is teaching about HIV. And then they ask about who knows maybe how to use a condom, or who knows how to use different ways of prevention. And then since the entire class knows that you're a peer educator, they all pinpoint at you and make fun of you, that one. So it remains a very big challenge to us peer educators. Sometimes others lose interest, even lose morale of passing on the good education and encouragement to others. That's one. The other challenge faced is sometimes there are conflicting loyalties. A friend comes to you, they try to get some information about HIV, about preventive strategies, or maybe they are caught up in a glance of events whereby their decisions they are up to take, they are very hard. So you who's trying to counsel them, encourage them, sometimes you find it very hard to actually give advice to them. So sometimes when we face those challenges, then we refer them to our heads who are better than us at counseling and at the RCT, which was said routine counseling. And so those are a few challenges we face as peer educators. The other challenge is we have few. Us as peer educators, we need more and more crowds to join us, more and more students to join us. So some people think maybe peer education is only for medical students. So others who don't do medical courses end up not coming to become peer educators because they think they are limited at the information of peer education. So there's a few challenges, but we think as time advances, we shall come up with a solution where we shall involve everyone in every course. Because it would be a very good thing if at all every course had at least peer educators pass on the information. So the next thing I'll talk about is the problem on the student side. Now those are the problem or the challenge on those who are affected. Again, the big thing remains a stigma. Very many students face challenges. For example, there are those that get to know early in the morning that maybe they slept with someone and they are not aware of the HIV status. So these people to access some services like post-exposure prophylaxis, which is called PEP, some find it very hard. They feel like if they go to a nearby clinic or nearby hospital and try to talk to the workers there that I need these drugs, they find it embarrassing sometimes, and they have too much fear. And to make it worse, some of the people who work there are our fellow lecturers because they are doctors. So imagine you find your fellow lecturer who knows you, and then you tell them, sir, I need this drug. So you find it as a challenge. Then the other challenge is those who are affected face is again stigma. They are looked at by others in a diminished way, especially those who are not affected. So Imagine you walk around a certain group of people, and all of them are looking at you like this. They're like, eh, or you are liquid drugs. So you find it very, very hard. Even want to hide where you see a group of people convening, you don't want to pass there. So, as I conclude, the biggest challenge you are facing among students is stigma. So we are trying to get solutions to that problem, and I think we shall get a solution. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Dr. Rogers?
Yeah, thank you so much. As health workers, we've faced various challenges, and especially in the field of HIV amongst the youth, or in SRH amongst the youth. So there are different international agencies, non-government organizations, the government, hospitals have set out these services to be accessed by youth. Some have been described as youth-friendly corners. They are there, but we don't know why youth are not accessing them. One time we did an outreach to Mbarara Regional Referral STI clinic, and youth were not turning up, so we started to make up a simple survey. Only 4% of the students and the youth in this area knew that the clinic existed. And it came up to my mind, I was like, now, what exactly is lacking? So that's when I come back to his point of stigma. There's still a problem of stigma. And when I talk about stigma, I mean these negative attitudes and beliefs that people attach people living with HIV. Even the way you communicate to someone, instead of saying someone has HIV, just say someone lives with HIV. At least there is a way that stigma is reduced. You get. So, and stigma is in two ways. We have the external stigma and the internal stigma. External stigma is assuming I'm positive. I live with HIV, and I come to discover that I'm HIV positive. There is that internal stigma of self-neglect. I feel like I don't want even my roommate to know. I don't even want anyone to realize that I'm positive. So there is that. That is the internal stigma. Feeling ashamed. You start blaming yourself. Start blaming someone. That's the internal stigma. Now they also have another form of stigma, the external stigma, whereby, okay, I've broken this stigma of internal stigma. Let me open up to my roommate. Maybe she can help me. And then roommate decides to shift. So there is that external stigma. I want to tell you young people that, well, I'm also young, but okay, my fellow colleagues, that that HIV is not transmitted by sharing plates. It's not transmitted by sharing clothes, or sharing a room, or handshaking with someone. So it's, don't just show these people stigma. They're also like us. I may be here and I'm HIV positive and you don't know, but the moment and I'm here struggling with my internal depression maybe, and you don't know why these days I'm failing coursework. You don't know why these days I'm always in a bar. You don't know why these days I'm always on phone. Just because when I tried to open up for you, you showed me something else. And always try to know why your neighbor is behaving the other way. So that's a bigger barrier that we are trying to address, and that's our theme this year. For this dialogue, ending stigma and HIV, and the theme for Uganda and the World AIDS Day internationally is ending inequalities and ending HIV and end the pandemic. So these inequalities are also a barrier. So those are one of the factors. Then the second one is youth do not want to know their status. There is no harm knowing your status. Just know your status. And then only that one will push you to go ahead to seek for care. But when you live in this denial, I think I'm not. They will just bring you at the hospital when you can't talk, and everyone will know. So at least when you open up someone, it will be kept as a secret, as confidential, and will be worked on, and life moves on. Yeah, so thank you so much, Madam Modulator.
You're welcome, Doctor. Madam Gladys, would like to know, how are you people there as administrators? How is this affecting you?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, our department, the Dean of Students Office, is more concerned about having an all-round student who has joined the university on an academic journey, and we want that student to live a happier and qualified individual, but also healthy all round. So we've had challenges. Like I said, the struggle continues. We have had challenges in addition to the increase in alcohol and drug abuse and cyber harassment, in addition to physical sexual harassment. The other thing that I note is there's a habit now. I don't know if it's a habit or I would call it a vice. Students are cohabiting. You come alone in first year, second year, third year, you're looking for a hostel with somebody else that you met here. You do not know which village they come from. You do not know their parents, not even their sister and brothers, by the way. But you decide you want to stay in the same house with this person, not only the same house, but sleep in the same bed, cook and clean for this person. You have not asked what their future plans are. If you have, who are you to start that journey without considering how this first step of achieving a degree, getting a stepping stone, that degree that you need into the future, who are you to skip that part and jump right to starting a family? Because when you're two people staying together, then you have started a family because you're sleeping in the same bed. And we notice that most times, like you say, people are not accessing HIV/AIDS services. So if people don't know their status, if the youth don't know their HIV/AIDS status, then we are getting right back, to a high-risk sexual behavior that is not going to even yield much. Because guess what? If you don't get HIV, you're going to become pregnant. And if you don't want the pregnancy, you're going to look for means of terminating the pregnancy. So we have had such challenges. I would have said the COVID-19 lockdown helped, but I noted that many students stayed behind. And so if we are to really move forward, I would encourage students, yes, you can find somebody that you have interests in building a future together, but please try to find ways of protecting yourself or staying away from such huge commitments before you do the necessary engagements. For instance, okay, you may say that you are ready and you think you're going to be together for the rest of your lives. Do the HIV tests. Then ensure that you don't get pregnant. When such a time comes and you're ready to formalize everything, you don't have all this other baggage to deal with. Where now you're thinking, why am I getting sick that often? Am I HIV positive? Or have I got some, right now there's a concern for cervical cancer, so such things, protecting yourself. So one of the challenges we've had that is a bit silent and very difficult for us to address is the challenge of cohabitation among students. Because going back to the sexual reproductive health rights, beyond the age of 18 in Uganda, you're an adult. Okay, so you have a right to information, you have a right to marriage or finding a partner, you have a right to so many other things, starting a family. However, social cultural practices demand that you have to account to people back at home. In other words, you can't start a relationship without a blessing of either the community or your family. So we are in a catch-22 situation where we see some of the things that may predispose students to HIV or sexual reproductive health, and you can only go so far. So what are we doing about this? We are, in addition to such talks, we have reawakened our multi-stakeholder engagements. Recently, we had a meeting with the hostel owners to share with them our position as a university. We shared with them our policies, and we came up with ways that they could support the students' community. So we talked about, if you see an individual who is starting to use drugs, please alert us so that we support them early. Because you can tell if someone has started to use drugs. They will not look the same innocent person they were before, isn't it? If you see that a student has moved in with another person, as a hostel owner or custodian, talking to the student might help so that you discourage them from bringing this person regularly. They may come, but try to put in means where, for example, there are hostels where you cannot have another person stay the night. They can come visit, they sign in, but they sign out. That way will discourage risky sexual behavior. You know, that kind of unplanned sexual engagement. Yeah, but if you have planned, possibly then you have really debated and come up with ways, though I don't know if the youth do that, because we tend to be shy about everything. The other challenge we've had is because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the lockdown and movements, there has been limited access to care, even for staff and students. You find some people moved. For instance, if a student joined the university and was accessing medication from here as a result of the fact that they're going to be here for 3 years or 5 years, so they approach our officers, we link them to care, within the hospital. Now with the lockdown, I remember the first lockdown was several months, So with the lockdown, it was difficult for individuals living with HIV to access their medication if they were not close to the point of care. So COVID-19 has also brought up so many other challenges. In addition to people being cooped up in several places, we know that there's been an increase in incest, because you're staying at home, you wake up, you sleep, you do everything at home. So the temptation to really have sexual engagements with even relatives has been noted, and some children are carrying pregnancy. So we are going to even have future mothers in future joining the institution, more mothers, We have noted that some of our students actually became pregnant during the first lockdown and delivered. And so for us, when someone is pregnant, it's an indication that they had unprotected sex. So we ask ourselves, those who did not get pregnant, are they safe? Okay? Those are the concerns we have. So we have challenges that we are trying to really address. We are trying to engage other stakeholders and also have talks like this. We plan to have trainings for student leaders so that they have the same information and can pass it on. As Tinka said, students will speak better with each other than with, say, an administrator like me. So we are also going to broaden our trainings from only just peer educators to student leaders and have a wider target with the students' community. Thank you very much.
Let's go for a short break. When we come back, when you have a question, please let me know and it will be addressed too. Thank you.
You're watching a Youth TV, empowering you.
bananga bami n'abakyala naze kubanyonyola nti bw'oba ng'olina omukolo gwonna gw'olina oyagala kuyingira ennyumba olina lonchi gy'okola olina woteeri olina embaga olina ulumbe olina buli kalonde yonna ng'oyagala bagutere ku Zoom, YouTube wamu ne ku Facebook. Njagala kugamba nti Hiv TV be basobola okubeera nga bakikolerako bulungi nnyo, balina kamera ennungi nkambwe, balikirya nnyo, bamanyi kibakola eby'oluzungu eby'oluganda eby'olunyankole buli kalonde yonna baguteerako buteezi. N'olwekyo mukwano gyaffe tusubga yangwa mangu.
A Youth TV, empowering you. watching a Hit TV, empowering you.
bananga bami n'abakyala naze kubanyonnyola nti bw'oba ng'olina omukolo gwonna gw'olina oyagala kuyingira ennyumba olina ronki gy'okola olina woteeri olina embaga olina olumbe olina buli kalonde yoona ng'oyagala bagutere ku Zoom, YouTube wamu ne ku Facebook. Njagala kugamba nti Hit TV bwe basobola okubeera nga bakikolerako bulungi nnyo, balina kamera ennungi nkambwe, balikirya nnyo, bamanyi kibakola, eby'oluzungu, eby'oluganda, eby'olunyankole, buli kalonde yoona baguteerako buteezi. N'olwekyo mukwano gyaffe tusubwa yangwa mangu.
A Hit TV, empowering you.
Welcome. We're going to receive questions from the audience. They're over there.
Okay, thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm Amanya Abel, a third-year student, Faculty of Science. And my question, or my worry is, there is a lot of propaganda and false, to me I call it false information, whereby you find when we are going to test, like if I have my partner, I say we go for testing, there's a lot of information that is circulating. They say there are some types of drinks like soda. If you take Mirinda Fruity and you go for testing, you find that they don't detect, they can't clearly track the disease or the virus. And also, like if you take Panadol, that's paracetamol, you find that they can't really detect that disease. I don't know how true is that information and how can we handle that, that kind of misconception, if at all it is. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Moderator. I'm Mugenyi Nathan, third-year student, Faculty of Medicine. My question is all about what you as the university, Department Dean of Students have done in order to curb the prevalence of AIDS within the institution, and how effective is it? Like, are you providing the right sexual reproductive health information to the students, and what are the results out of it? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Nkanda Fiona. I'm a fourth-year student doing agriculture. My question is, why is the rate of infection high in the females than in the males? Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, all of you, for your questions. I would like Dr. Rogers to help us and enlighten us with the first question about the misconceptions. Maybe if I drink Coke, I will not be HIV.
Yeah, thank you so much, the modulator. The first question, it was saying there are a lot of false information or misconception that when you take some drinks or when you take in some tabs and the following day or the following hour you go for the testing, they won't get it. First of all, it's false. The available testing methods, we have the determine that you click on your finger, and these technologies they detect antibodies. Antibodies means the body's response to the disease. And so the moment the body has responded to the disease, the test will get it, whether you've taken Coke, whether you've taken Mukamanayamba or anything else. So, and for your information, if you test someone and the determine becomes negative, it's not an assurance that someone is negative, because like I've told you, it's a body's response to the disease. The body responds to this HIV virus after 2 weeks. So in this time, we call it a window period. And that's when the concentration of the virus is so high. So, and that's when someone can highly transmit the disease. If you test someone as negative, just wait, come back for 3 months. You test, come back for another 3 months, you test, that's when you confirm it's negative. Not just one day and decide to make a decision. So it's false. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll go on to the question of about what has the university done. We all appreciate the fact that HIV/AIDS is no longer just about talking about HIV and giving information about HIV. Yes, when we give that information, we'll bust some myths, like one that has been revealed to us, that when you take Coca-Cola and Fanta, you may not be able to test positive even when you're positive. But we also would be able to pass on facts really about HIV. But through experience, we've noted that you cannot just talk about HIV and test for HIV and then hope that the prevalence will go down. There's a funny story. At the time when I just started my line of work, we went as far as nightclubs to conduct research and really make observations on how university students conduct themselves when they go to nightclubs and bars. And that particular research was eye-opening for us. We saw people who came in alone and left with another person. People who came in as a group and left individually with somebody else who is not part of the group. And for the youth, you know what that means. So as an institution and as a department, we see it fit that we address all the other factors that may put university students in positions of vulnerability. Like I mentioned, such situations as alcohol and drug use and misuse may put you at risk of getting HIV through because it will remove the curtain of being careful. So you'll engage in risky sexual behavior. The other thing is discouraging sexual harassment. It can be benign, like just tapping someone's butt or trying to hug them. But we know that it can be extreme, where people plan and plot to drug somebody in order to sleep with them. That's sexual assault. So we are trying to really look at it from a broader area. In addition to what the medics are doing, where they're doing the test and treat and encouraging positive prevention, where they're encouraging those who are HIV positive to keep on their drugs so they keep their viral load low, so that in the event they have sexual intercourse with somebody, then they do not pass on the virus. So in addition to that, we are trying to think about ways to address cohabitation. And there's another actually behavior that has come up that we are finding challenges with, but we're trying to see how to address it. We know that there is some form of modern prostitution, where some gentlemen or young men will have contacts of young people, and every time there's a client, they will call the young people who are ready. And these are university students who are being called to go to whatever hotel or lodge because there's a rich or a person who is able to pay for, for that kind of service, if I can call it that. So that is also something else that is coming up, and we're trying to see how to address that. We believe that if we address the sexual reproductive health challenges among the youth, will contribute towards reducing the HIV prevalence, in addition to providing VCT regularly, at least every semester, in addition to empowering the peer educators through trainings and information sharing. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, Calvin, the question 3 is asking why is the rate of girls having HIV higher than that one of boys?
Thank you very much. Someone asked the question, why is it that there are more females who are more prevalent at getting HIV than males. So I have very many reasons, but I think I should divide them. Let me begin biologically, that's medically. Girls, their reproductive system is, let me call it, is always at the receiving end. So it's more likely to get the virus than males. Then it also has, we call them many CD4 receptors. So they can receive the virus than males. Then that's biologically. Then I can go socially. So there are very many risk sexual behaviors which women are involved in. For example, it's very evident that if you move along a street at night, it's very hard to find a male prostitute, but you may find many male prostitutes. So you can actually see that those varieties of different women, they can easily contract the virus than men. Because what some men do, imagine someone comes and sleeps with one woman, tomorrow wants to change, gets another woman, tomorrow wants to change, gets another one. So we find that one man may sleep with all the prostitutes on one lane of the street. So one man can infect all those women. So the risk sexual behaviors. Then there are other sexual behaviors which we can name as serial or concurrent. So here at university, you can find when a certain student, let me not even call it engaged, is cohabiting with a certain girl, and then that male student cannot give enough money, or let me say, cannot meet the needs of the girl. So what the girl will do? The girl will engage the boy, but since the boy has limitations, she will look for other sources. So you'll find that girls are more, they're at a high risk of these behaviors than boys. Because to be very hard as a boy, if I went around looking for a mature lady to give me money. It'd be very, very hard. Then the other reason we have propagandas. Here in Mbarara, the region with the highest HIV is called Ruti. So I once was in Ruti, I made some research. I found out women have very many propagandas there about HIV preventive strategy. They think that the preventive strategies have effects on them. For example, some think that the condoms are going to make them they're going to make them feel uncomfortable. So that woman, if you, very evident, if you go to her, she will just she will receive you without using any preventive strategy because of her misguidance, propaganda. And it's also propaganda that some men these days don't want their women to access healthy services. The government has tried to provide sexual awareness because each time women try to bring their children for immunization, and each time women try to bring to come to antenatal services, they always provide education about HIV preventive strategies and also family planning. But it is also evident that there are some women who don't receive these services. Someone can come to produce when they have never attended antenatal services. Their child can reach around 10 years when they have never vaccinated. Why? Some men don't want their women to access these services. They think this is not important. White men, those people, these are problems. So, because women stay at home and they're not taught about these things, it gives them a very broad spectrum of contracting the virus.
You're welcome. As we conclude, I would like us to give the way forward. How are we going to protect this generation from being infected? And those who are already infected, how are we going to protect them from being the victims of stigmatization? And you know how it feels when everyone calls you sick. You may commit suicide, which is not good for us. We still need everyone at the end of the day. So I would like to call upon Dr. Rogers to give the way forward how we should protect ourselves as youth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So my first and most important way forward is in all our interventions, we should go digital. Let's use an online platform to give these youth the information they deserve. Let's use these trusted online platforms, because that's a strategy we are also trying to use in our health centers, because someone feels stigmatized to come directly to line up for SRH services or HIV services with his or with her aunt in the same line. They're lining up, sitting on the same benches. So it's for you. They just need those innovative approaches, and those are the digital ones. And in addition, we should also emphasize youth-friendly corners, youth-friendly services. We should set up specific days. Let someone know that on this day, that's when a service is provided. For example, at on the project, the Must Be a project, there should be at least either every every last Tuesday of the month, someone should know that at least on this date there is something being provided. So it becomes a routine. Yes. And thirdly, we should also emphasize peer-to-peer support. Yeah, in the interventions, like you have been discussing, that it's easier for me to access the information from my colleague than from a senior. So we should emphasize those approaches, and then also emphasize harm reduction approaches. Harm reduction, I mean approaches that are non-judgmental. If you come to realize that I use HIV drugs, how smartly are you going to approach me than creating an environment that is going to stigmatize me? So those innovative harm reduction approaches, that even me, when you're approaching me, I feel like you're a parent or you're a colleague. You're understanding what I'm going through, and instead not force me to do something to avoid you, and I end up in suicide. So those are some of the way forward I have. Thank you, the modulator.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Kelvin.
Thank you very much once again. So the way forward, I'm speaking on behalf of the students. The best and critical role which I want us to play as students and fellow members outside there. I think it would be of very good value if we got to know ourselves better. It begins with self. When you begin with self, you get to understand who you are, what your goals are, you discover your purpose. So through this, you can be able to attain mindset transformation. Because we said there is internal stigma. All this happens because people have failed to understand who they are. They have failed to understand what their future prospects are, what they can achieve. So if someone sits down and actually sees that they have a way forward, maybe some of this would reduce. So the best thing is to know yourself. Then, as fellow peer educators, I think we should try to treat misconceptions. If someone comes, for example, for an HIV check, or they come maybe for preventive methods like condoms, or maybe they come for counseling, it's always good to clear out this misconception. So if you clear a misconception from someone, then they will clear the same in your absence. So to create a loop chain and a sustainable goal. So if someone comes with a misconception, try to clear it by, don't be subjective. Try to understand why their misconception is there, and you try to look at its cause. Then you can forego it. Then the last strategy I'm going to take forward is let's try not to hide reality from people. Talking this to all members outside there, including parents. The best thing is always to tell people that things are existent. For example, it's good to tell people that HIV is there. Instead of lying, HIV is not there, what. So if you tell the people HIV is there, maybe they'll take keen interest at prevention. If parents could actually engage their children in alcohol intake and drinking, maybe we would have more responsible youth at the university. Because what happens is that most of the students who drink recklessly, how should I call it? Most of these are kept away from alcohol at homes. So when they come at university where parents are not there, then they think they have the urge to do anything they want because right now the parents are absent. So let's try to always be in reality. The parent should tell the child, yes, alcohol is there, you can take, but however, drink responsibly. Thank you very much. Those are strategies I had.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to first of all address the youth, especially the university students who are watching us now, those with us here, and those that will watch this later because it will be available on AETV via the YouTube channel. I want to encourage you to always look towards the future, dream big, and while you dream for your future, avoid any behavior going to put you at risk or any practices that will put you at risk to engaging in risky sexual behavior or even putting you in position, for instance, moving at night, and then you become a victim of rape, then you have to carry that rest of your life as you pursue. For the peer educators, we are grateful for the work you do, especially the master project, PIPROA, and the medical students as an institution, and we share even when you're off campus, share with the youth out there. I think that youth engagements can be very beneficial if guided, and so keep it up. To all our stakeholders, partners, thank you for always coming to our call. Mentioned recently we had with hostel owners and local leaders within the region. And we're not only talking about accommodation, we talked about all these issues in order to ensure that our students are secure and that they are safe. Safe not only in terms of physical, body-wise, but also safe from the things that we've talked about, safe from being raped or things like that. We also encourage the religious leaders within our community, those within the university and outside, to with the youth about keeping safe, so that we're able to end the HIV/AIDS pandemic. And also, I encourage our stakeholders to encourage the youth to come forward when they have questions, not only when they are unwell, but when they have questions. You'll be surprising at how much people don't know, but we assume that they know. So that's my word to the stakeholders. University management, we are grateful, and as an institution, we have shown our commitment to looking beyond the classroom and teacher and chalkboard. So we are trying to engage our students outside the institution. So as management, I think we are proud of what we are doing. Of course, there is always an appeal. I appeal to the top management and to the Ministry of Education and Public Service to make more commitments towards supporting what they commonly refer to as cross-cutting issues. I thank you very much and wish you all the best.
Thank you, and you're welcome. Friends, let us support each other. Let us end stigma, end HIV, and end the pandemic as we are all working together as youth. And I want to appreciate everyone who has been watching us from the beginning up to this point. Our panelists, thank you very much for honoring the invitation. Mostly our doctor, thank you very much. And the audience that we are having in this room, thank you very much for your time and everything. Youth, we are so proud of you. Thank you for the support. And of the university, all people that were there throughout the organizing, the peer educators, wherever you are, we are really proud of you and we thank you for the great work you're doing. Let's continue as we provide for our fellow students and we keep the fire burning. Thank you very much. Let's have a good day. I remain Achille Maureen, the Administrative Secretary of Mass Care Project.
Thank you.
You're watching a Youth TV, empowering you.
Bananga bami n'abakyala naze kubanyonyola nti bw'obanga olina omukolo gwonna gw'olina oyagala kuyingira ennyumba olina lonchi gy'okola olina hoteri olina embaga olina ulumbe olina buli kalonde yoona ng'oyagala bagutere ku Zoom, YouTube wamu ne ku Facebook. Njagala kugamba nti Hiv TV be basobola okubeera nga bakikolerako bulungi nnyo balina kamera ennungi nkambwe